which has won both games of this series. Not to say that blue side has truly had much importance in this
Crown
series.
not allowed
but
to play Orianna.
It might be that.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that Samsung picked the red side for game number 1, and that's the reason why they were put on the red side 2 games in a row, because SKT was like, I guess we'll just pick blue side for game 2 if you guys don't want it. And yeah, I mean, they take away the Orianna on the blue side. I don't think it all has to do with Crown's performance on the Orianna. I was just kidding a bit with that one. Definitely want to take that on the blue side. This says, Faker, will you marry me? We'll have to ask Faker after the games.
He is looking for a girlfriend after Rift Rivals. He said he's considering the possibility of a girlfriend. So ladies.
Really? Or gentlemen, in this case. Hey, you gotta ask,
well,
you know, if you never ask.
Faker specifically said he's looking for a girlfriend.
That is true. It's true. But you never know if you don't ask. So he's trying his luck. We do finish out all of the bans here. The Caitlyn actually does get banned on the blue side, and Samsung, they're going to go for the Alistar for Wraith here as their first pick.
That does give up Kalista, though, so they are passing up on that one, and it wasn't played to much success in the previous game on Core JJ's side. Had some great picks here and there, but when it came down to the major team fights, you feel like Alistar could have done a little bit more. And the Alistar that comes to mind when I think of a great Alistar play is Mad Life in his prime. When he was playing this champion, if you were playing a diver, there was just no way that you could get past the front line. He would save the headbutts for you specifically, pulverize if you got too close. And it was not about the wombo. It was just about protecting individuals. And the game, just to give a bit of a crazy throwback, was Azubu Frost versus CLGEU. When Diana was playing in that game 5 instead of the Anivia, we criticized, Froggen, why did you not play Anivia? It was left unbanned, but the Diana just got thwarted by QV, by Mad Life's Alistar. And maybe now, if Wraith can take a page out of that one, have some fresher air in the booth for themselves, they might find more success. But they do have Tristana once again, but at least the Maokai is not on Untara's hands.
Yeah, they got this big front line, and here we go again, the Lucian. It was left up, and Faker will be playing his second Lucian game tonight. And still no mid pick for Crown, and with already Cassiopeia, Orianna, and Galio all taken away, SKT could certainly target Crown if they wanted to here.
They could, and just look at the draft for Samsung's side. They banned out Caitlyn, but they left Kalista up. Is that really worth it? You're giving up an S-tier AD carry for another S-tier AD carry. What is the advantage that you're gaining on this side? You've already seen what Bang did in Game 1 on Caitlyn. It was lackluster, but you saw Faker on the Lucian, so that ban could have easily been a Lucian ban, and we might have seen the exact same draft from SKT. So I would have to say that from what we've seen in games 1, 2, and 3, I think that Samsung's preparation has been severely lacking when it comes to dealing with what SKT is bringing to this match.
SKT has certainly took them for a ride in this one. They're just trying to get off of SKT's mad ride here. A couple of bans actually not towards Crown, but towards QV in the top side. Taking away the Gnar, taking away the Camille. A couple of those split pushers that QV likes to play.
Crown's down, you don't need to put him down further. They're okay with Faker just taking any matchup, and the Taric gets targeted again. So the unsung hero of many of the fights was indeed the Cosmic Radiance out of Wolf in that previous game. The stuns weren't quite there, but the ultimates make a big difference when it comes to dealing with the shockwaves that were often ill-timed at the hands of Crown, but he no longer has access to that one. But we do get to see Untara play his 8-2 Rumble, which is going to be a good matchup into the Maokai, just pushing non-stop. But what is Ambition going to play here? That's what I want to know, because the Jarvan, we saw him in 2 games, it didn't do anything. I think Ambition needs to go with the damage dealer here.
Definitely have some options. The Rek'Sai still available. The
Oh,
Jarvan
no.
still available.
Okay.
Oh, Talia.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So Crown will be on the Talia against Faker's Lucian. Once again, the same matchup we saw in game number 1. They will be on opposite sides of the rift, but it's the same 2 champions.
Don't give me the Jarvan. Kha'Zix would be a little bit better here. Kha'Zix can actually 1v1 the AD carries easily. He's got kill pressure onto him. And oh, it's going to be jungle Maokai. Okay, so now they have kill pressure onto Faker as they can lock him down. But Cuvée on the Kennen. The AP Cannons have been underwhelming. They don't do a whole lot. The laning phase isn't quite as strong as before. The setups for teleports have been missing for both teams when it comes to having a flank ward for anybody. So I don't like the pick a whole lot, but at least now they have 3 threats to deal with what SKT is throwing at them. But 3 threats get nullified as you have Tahm Kench to eat anybody and keep them alive, and you know they're going to be eating Faker or Bang, and with the nice foul that will come through from both Gragas and Tahm Kench, Samsung's coordination needs to have a complete overhaul for them to succeed in winning these fights.
Yeah, Wolf looked less than excited as he was forced onto that defensive Tahm Kench pick. I'm sure in his mind he's like, please let me play Zyra. I want to. But not going to be the case here. So we will see Tahm Kench for Wolf.
But here's the danger, because now SKT have the early advantage. They have the early game jungle strength with the Gragas. So Gragas is going to be superior to Maokai early on. Rumble, it's not going to have the easiest time against Kennen, but it's not the AD Kennen. It's not going to get worse. It's just going to be AP. And then Faker, we know how that matchup went up against Crown. He's going for a confidence run back on this one, thinking, okay, I know my mistakes. I can do it again. But without an early game advantage on your jungle, it might just be Peanut's playfield to do whatever he wants, to have SKT put as much pressure as they want onto the lanes and find themselves yielding an advantage. But the X factor is that we have no idea what Stitch and Wraith are going to bring to the table. We really don't, because we haven't seen them all year at all. We don't get to go watch them scrim. Their solo queue games are not that great. So what can we expect out of this lineup? Most likely a loss, but hey, they could surprise us.
Maybe it's the secret weapon for Samsung. They need them in this moment really badly. They need them to step up to the plate up against SKT, the best team in the world. Can they actually do it in the bot lane? Can Ambition do it on his first time of Maokai for this season? Let's find out as we jump onto the Rift for game number 3. Off we go into game number 3. That's gross.
Notice the theme, though, while gross, of the bottom lanes that have been picked, and a reason why the action has been lackluster. It's pretty damn tough to kill Alistar and Tristana, and then you have Tahm Kench and Kalista, who at level 6 is even harder than, say, Thresh Kalista in taking them down. So bottom lane, not a big opportunity for any of these teams to get a kill. Top side, however, without any tanks, you can just go in that lane and kill anybody. So attention top lane has to be the emphasis for these teams. If they can snowball from there, they can transition to the bottom side eventually with getting summoners out, with having them pinpointed under a turret, and maybe into the mid lane, but don't really want to see Samsung attacking mid lane. 1v1ing Lucian is hard enough as is. And if you apply Maokai, while you do have the root, you might not have enough damage anyways.
Our observer was loving the Tahm Kench zoom in as he puked up whatever that was multiple times in a row. But the show's over. Wraith didn't even go for the cowbell skin, which is kind of unfortunate. Not what we wanted to see. Ambition making use of the bush here with his treants to get some nice farming onto those raptors.
You know, I never realized those saplings actually made sounds of presents being opened.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Huh. I guess it makes sense. Gotta like the attention to detail on some of these skins. Okay, already a pretty nice lead here in the mid lane as we return. Not in CS, but Faker is ahead on health and mana. Looks like he hit level 2 first and just made the best of it. Lucian's pretty good at doing that.
It looks like we're going to get to see another farm game as top lane gets a push in non-stop. Or rather, the Kennen and then the Gragas farming happily, going for that level 6 again. So the game plan, similar to game 1's, game 2 is now happening in game 3. Not much early, transition into team fighting, and we saw already what SKT can do in their team fight, so Samsung needs to accelerate a little bit here. We need to see the wave bounce back topside, and then to look for somebody to pick on, rather.
You can see Peanut clearing out the entirety of his jungle. Did not go for the Scuttle Crab. Ambition doing similarly, just not taking out his Krugs. This one looks like he might want to move towards the bottom side river, Scuttle Crab. Faker going to go ahead and ward on this side. Nicely timed. Knows the potential for this. Peanut just hit level 4 after those Krugs. He could use the Blasting Plant and attempt to go top. Looks like he will. There is a nice ward here. It's about to expire. And if he went top after this Rift Scuttler, definitely could have potential. This is the stat I was talking about earlier. SKT is 16-2 in best of 5 since 2015. So you guys thought they were in a slump, but you just had to wait until they hit playoffs. When they do get their playoff buff, it's been pretty out of control.
It has, but it also has been disappointed for Samsung. Really, I thought a lot more of them coming into this series. I thought that the preparation would be there, that the compositions would be there, that the composure was going to be apparent. But the first sign of worry to me was that Haru was starting in game 1. He played a handful of games, all split long. It clearly worked better with Ambition. And the fact that they start him, to me, is a sign that Ambition maybe was just not playing up to par. That there was something wrong with the team during the scrims that was going on. Otherwise, you just wouldn't have that happen, because every time that Haru was coming in, it was always after Ambition having some faulty game. So an indication of them having struggled in compositions, in scrims, struggling in drafts maybe. And I gotta say, I think Samsung had been scrimming Afrika, because I don't think any other team seems to have as much emphasis onto the AP Kennen as they do.
When are we going to get to see this work? I mean,
well, Akashion Tara played it, but
it's you know, it's not like his fantastic Kennen performance got them to win that game. It was Faker popping off on the Lucian in a ridiculous manner against Crown. But maybe this is the game. Maybe QV pulls them back to victory. I know it's looking very dire for Samsung, but you can never count them out. There's always a chance. Even with Stitch and Wraith, looks like they're doing okay in the bottom side so far. It's not like they're getting totally pushed out here by Bang & Wolf just yet.
Oh, and you have Tristana. It's going to be a piece of cake. I mean, after all, Samsung's bottom lane did win 2v2 in game 2. They got that first break all by themselves, so subbing in the bottom lane is not going to be the most impactful when it comes to just straight up laning, considering that Bang & Wolf haven't had the most wonderful laning phases in their 2 series so far. But it's going to be when it comes down to decision making, late game team fights, the macro play as a unit. How up to par is Wraith, Stitch with Ambition? The synergy, we haven't seen it for a while, and it wasn't even great when last we saw it, when it was around Worlds and last spring split. So that's why this game feels underwhelming already. The fact that such a major substitution comes through. 2 players, okay, that's fine. But 3, 60% of a team? Come on now.
You're basically subbing out your entire team. It feels that way, at least. Not literally, are they? But definitely is a point to be made in this one. You can see that before, Faker was using his culling to just push the lane, so it looks like this time around Crown is definitely respecting the Lucian, and Faker doesn't quite have the pressure that he had in game number 1. So things are looking better in the mid lane front at least. And even Peanut setting up for a gank here. Ambition, though, is going to face check As we do have a fight in the mid lane, Seismic Shove is going to miss again. The culling isn't up though. Here comes Peanut moving forward. Faker eating a couple of stones to the face. Not going to be enough. Exhaust coming down here. Wolf going to eat up Bang, attempting to get him to safety. They're moving forward, forcing that flash out of Bang. But here comes the chase, attempting to get some more damage onto Wraith. In the end of it, just going to get the flash off of Bang.
So the bottom lane that gets substituted still finds a way to put pressure onto SKT's bot side, and this is a cue and perhaps an indication of what we can expect for the next series. A little bit of a tussle in the jungle, but I think it might be too far-fetched, but I'm still going to go ahead and risk this statement that I think that they're going to... 1 second, though.
Okay, Peanut's getting caught out here. The Devour coming in. Stitch is going under turret. That is too much. All right, my good
I'll
sir.
Say it. SKT's winning it. SKT's going to win this game. And when they face SKT or KT now, KT loves to pick on the bottom side of the map. So if you're an KT looking at this game, you're thinking to yourself, well, clearly the bottom lane seems to be the area that's struggling. Let's try to punish this as much as possible. I'm just going to ignore that, and that was awful. We know it was awful, but these players aren't the main players.
Yeah, I mean, the mistake, is it really this play, or is it the mistake?
Like, what is
Is it the mistake to sub him in the first place, you know? Under this much pressure, that's just, it's too risky. I mean, even if you do get the kill, you're going to have to burn all your summoners, you're never going to get out of there alive. It's just a big mistake there by Stitch in the bottom lane trying to make that work. And, well, definitely not the start that Samsung was looking for on the side of their bottom lane, especially.
But what
were
they looking for, Valdez, doing this move?
Well, at least not dives under the turret 9 minutes into the game, of course, but perhaps just some stability. You know, as you said before, right, before the game started, we don't get to hear the comms. Maybe there was arguments going on. Maybe, you know, Ruler and CoreJJ, they were just not happy with the way things were being called, and so the coach made a hard decision to sub them out, you know. We'll never get 100% of the information on these teams.
Well, what we do know is that when SKT face off against KT Rollster, they are going to feel the wrath of the bottom lane ties, because you know Mata loves to call these plays bot side. They're great at executing them, and that could be the window of weakness, the Achilles heel for SKT now that their bottom lane has shown weakness multiple times, both against Afrika and against a struggling Samsung. So while their strength have been shown in the mid lane and the team fighting capabilities, team fighting prowess, especially Bang post laning phase, he was just great on the Kalista. He was having a super game for himself, but when it comes to laning the 2v2, work needs to be done.
Well, Faker and Peanut moving as a unit. It looked like Crown was definitely having a lot of fun in the lane this time around. You can see a potential dive was happening up in the top side, but it did fail, as Untara did read it very nicely here. Now Wraith and Stitch, they're sticking around, and Stitch, he gets hit out of there. The Buster shot to get Bang back, but of course you're not getting out of that one. Just sticking too long around the bot side. And, well, that's, again, not what they were looking for in the bot lane.
Well, Stitch is going to walk out of this game in stitches, it seems, as he just gets bullied around now. Didn't even have to burn the explosive cask in order to secure that kill. But there's not a whole lot that Samsung can go for if Untara continues to play this safe. He respected the roam from Crown. He backs off when Ambition is there, utilizing the equalizer, and as long as he doesn't give any advantages from Samsung, SKT can continue to get their own onto the bottom side and get Bang rolling, as he's already 2-0.
He's going to have a cleaner game than he had in game number 2. He's going to be way far ahead. They don't need Faker to be popping off like a madman if they have someone else on their team doing it. Faker just going to back off here. Question mark pings going down. They don't know where he went. They can only assume that he has recalled. First Drake of the game is a Cloud Drake this time around. So neither team really having an opportunity to even go for that Cloud Drake, but deciding against it as well.
while they don't have an opportunity to go there, what they do have, at least for Samsung, is triple wards topside. So they have set their sights on picking on Untara, but his itemization has been superb in dealing with this lane. And it's something that we don't get to look at often, but he's up against triple mages. It's Kennen that's AP, Maokai that's AP, Talia that's AP, and he already has Merc Treads and a Null Magic, which means that he's going to take a lot of time to die. There's not a whole lot of damage being built out of the 3 members of Samsung, so he can play safer. He can survive in this lane if he gets to over, and even try to go for a turn-on kill. And diving him 2v1 is still going to be quite tough just because of how tanky he's going to be. So his itemization and play is responsible for the defense of SKT and not succumbing to the attacks that Samsung want to go for on his side. And they lose the dragon. Now they're going to potentially lose that turret bottom side as a dive gets threatened from SKT.
We'll see how this will go down. It looks like they want to make a play with the help of Crown. There's the engage onto Bang, but no follow-up here. Here comes Peanut. The cask is going to knock Stitch into the wall. Unfortunately, it did not work out in terms of catching a kill or anything like that. Ambition makes his way on over as well, so SKT can just continue to play normal League of Legends. No dive's going to happen this time around.
And speaking of normal League of Legends, this is why I don't like AP Kennen. It got nerfed specifically so that he no longer works as a burst champion. You need to stay in the fight, but exhausts come through. People can react faster to flash out and not suffer any damage. And worst of all, when you pair him with a magic dealing jungler, which are so common these days with the tanks coming back, you just don't have any kill pressure if people itemize properly. So you lose out on pressure on the map, and SKT can do whatever they want because they no longer feel threatened on multiple lanes.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the itemization and topside. And Untara, he hasn't been the most flashy player, but he's definitely extremely solid, not going out of control as maybe Faker, or rather Huni would have done. We got a fight going down here, and Faker is actually going to burn his heal to get out of that one. Did spot Ambition coming in too. Wolf was trying to make a play perhaps with an Abyssal Voyage with the help of Peanut, but they didn't find their opportunity in that fight.
Too risky. Smelled something out, and nice smells that Ambition. They might be fancying a flash twisted advance, but Faker has flash too.
And they got Peanut nearby. There's that flash twisted advance into the ultimate, and down will go Faker in the mid lane. Finally able to take out this pesky Lucian.
That's why the Maokai gets locked in, so you can actually keep him down. Keep him grounded, make sure that Crown can hit his abilities. And the lane has now been executed well from Crown. CS is even, he's 1 kill up, and he finally turns things around. So what we wanted to see out of him in Game 1 is happening in Game 3, but it might be already too late. Gold remains at an even amount for both these teams. And pressure, I would say, the same as well, except for the bottom side, which we don't want to look back as to what happened for Stitch's escapades into tower.
Yeah, I mean, he'll experience enough of that in the replays if we do get to them. We'll see if Samsung can come back in this one. Cuvée putting a nice amount of pressure up on the top side on this Kennen, looking for that Haunting Guise as a follow-up. And Crown is having a much better time on this Talia. We talked about how he is one of the big pieces for Samsung as a unit. If they don't have a Crown, then they don't have a King. And, well, they need to make this work as a unit. Okay, we do have what looks like an Abyssal Voyage in onto Stitch, and here comes Peanut. He's all alone. The flash comes in with the Rend. Wraith, all by himself, somewhere out on the map, is looking to make a stun happen, actually getting him pretty low with the Ignite. Will he actually go down? No, the heal is going to come in, and it will save Peanut's life.
And Stitch now 0-3-0. They pinpoint the weak member. Now that Crown has picked it back up, it looks like it has already shifted to somebody else. So sure, his mid lane is fine, and his itemization is a bit better. Now he's not rushing the Seeker's arm guard. He's got kill pressure. Hopefully he doesn't go Rylai's next as well, but he might be going for that item now. 2 stacks in the Darksteel, but the bottom side is dropping the ball. But what can you truly expect out of that? It's impossible to put any pressure on them, and Faker still has flash, so it's unlikely that this can go. Whoa, nice splash.
frame perfect, if you will. Right as that seismic shove makes its way out of the ground, he flashes over at the almost perfect length over that wall.
I don't even think he was hugging the wall. He actually just pulled it off. So Stitch basing, gets caught off. And what happens to his rocket jump? Oh, you know what? He probably rocket jumped after clearing the wave. So he didn't have it available. Just got surprised by the Tahm Kench. The quickness at which Abyssal Voyage arrives is surprising. Everywhere is the Bayou when you're up against Tahm Kench.
I was talking about how he's a bit of a defensive jungle or support, but I should have known better, especially for Wolf. Loves to make these plays with Abyssal Voyage. Raid taking a bunch of damage. Not forced to blow his ultimate or anything like that, but is definitely forced away from that Rift Herald.
Well, Tahm Kench protects, but he also attacks.
That is what they're saying nowadays, isn't it? He's pretty good at that. We got a push up on the top side as SKT has switched their bottom lanes. They've rotated up into the top side. Stitch is up here by himself for now. Up comes Wraith. Looks like he should be able to get there in time, but lots of damage already being put on. Bang and Wolf always threatening, moving forward. Wolf threading the needle himself, able to get that tongue lash. And just look at how much damage they can do with that poke. They've got Untara and Pianet nearby, if need be, with Faker in the mid lane. They're putting on pressure on the top side of the map.
And 5 members assembled here, but nobody's answering Cuvee yet. Untara does have to base and will find himself catching a minion wave. But if SKT can pull something here, they might be able to get a Rift Herald, just anything for their troubles, but instead they will just retreat, go back to the lanes, make sure that everything is taken care of, and continue the advantages that were found into the bottom side of the map. It wasn't rushed, right? They killed Stitch every time that he was presenting himself. They can just do it again. But the vision now that SKT have is a lot tougher to break than what it was before when you have the two control wards, but they're going on to Cuvee.
Wall comes out, and now Peanut is locked in with them. The cask is going to separate Cuvee from the rest of his team, and as Untara rotates in from the bottom side, Samsung will respect it and move away. So a close one there, but neither team able to find a big advantage. But uh-oh, they find Bang, who is going to be forced to flash away. No big follow-up as it was just Wraith with the engage.
The exact same angle that Bang got caught out in Game 2 happens again in Game 3. So the Alistar might be a bit difficult for him to deal with, but he does have Tahm Kench to devour him had anything gone too out of their hands. So a bit of a miscommunication happening again. You don't want to see that happen, but we know what his late game team fights can do. It's just a matter of this stage in the game where it seems like he's been struggling the most.
Yeah, just keep him alive at all costs. You're a 3-0 Kalista at this point. You don't want to give the spree away to anyone important. You just want to stick in the fights for as long as possible and be a menace against the enemy team. So no big plays have really happened, and Ocean Drake did go over to SKT as they're enjoying a 2,000 gold lead 20 minutes into the game.
All right, so SKT's plan now, keep Faker into the mid lane, just laning. He no longer can just go on to Crown and try to look for a kill. Oh, rather the lane assignment is going for a 1-3-1, so they'll have to switch back with Crown going to the top side because they don't have much when it comes to going to the side lanes just yet. So SKT will continue to split push on the side lanes, try to get advantages that way, but a fight happens.
Fate's call, it's going to go on to the Alistar, not exactly the best target. Bang is going to be engaged on Peanut all by himself with only the damage of Faker. Faker against 2, can he do it? Cuvee all alone will go down, but so will Faker. And so it's going to be a 1-for-1 for just now, but now it looks like SKT with a bit more damage. Nice re-engage there from Wraith. He gets the stun, but it's not enough. Bang, he's too protected. Untara, he's doing too much in the front line. That's going to be a couple more, and in comes the Abyssal Voyage. Ambitions all alone, he can't survive. Wolf, he wants the kill. Doesn't look like he'll get it, though, as Bang decides not to join up, but they pick up a 4th kill and a big lead now for SKT in this one.
Oh, huge balls from Faker going for a 1v2, but you wish that Stitch could have done the same. It felt like had they followed up on Bang when the combo came through, Samsung might have been able to walk away on that one. So we're going to look at that fight again. It's a 4-on-3 as it starts breaking off. So Faker gets to hit the Maokai immediately, and sure, Bang is distracted and the Maokai or the Kennen comes through in the backline, but he doesn't do anything. He gets exhausted, murdered right away while Faker dies in a 1v2. But this is the big one, the combo. Let's see what Stitch does. He has the rocket jump, but why is there no switch of damage onto Bang? We just won't know, because 1-2 autos might have been able to take him down, and that could have made the difference. You get the reset. He had the reset from killing Faker earlier with the explosive shot, I believe, so there's a reason why he's not the starter. But the entire fight, obviously, cannot be pinned on one individual player out of this one, but still, SKT, because their AD carry survives, because he's got lifesteal and the tank to go with him, walk away with a Baron.
He's trying his best, you know. It was a good play onto Faker, at least, to clean up the kill. Just a small play towards the end and good protection. Untara, there was really no one to deal with him towards the end. Surprisingly tanky with the Banshee's Veil and the Merc Treads. You were talking about all that magic damage coming out. Even though they expended a bit onto the Rumble, they quickly realized, like, hey, this guy is not going to go down in time. So they had switched targets. That's not necessarily what you want when you are behind. So SKT in a really good spot now. They get the Baron after that big team fight. They pick up 1 turret in the top side. Now about 7,000 gold ahead, 6,000 gold ahead.
That 7,000, or rather 6,000 gold lead will only grow in a 1-3-1 formation, which is what they're okay with. Kennen can't go for the 1v1 onto Untara. They're going out to Ambition, but it's only a 2v2.
Well, he does take a bunch of damage. It's incredibly low, and that was all by himself going in there, engaging 1v2. This is his first game of Maokai in LCK Summer, and that's not necessarily what you want to do when you're trying to defend. I understand the idea. He's desperately trying to keep the tower alive, going for a type of engage with some help from his teammates, but he is melting to the likes of Faker, who already has his Black Cleaver and is chomping down targets already.
They're chomping down turrets. Untara rotating between both mid and bottom. Get those tier 2 towers, but there's not a whole lot that Samsung can do here. They need Cuvee to be able to flank, to engage onto the carries, but with Tahm Kench, with Exhaust, there's not enough that Kennen can do by himself. So this composition needs even more coordination than last time around, but you've got players that don't even start on the team, that don't play that much. It's going to be nearly impossible for them to pull a miracle here of synergy out of nowhere.
3 turrets taken out here by SKT. They still have 45 seconds left to go, and they are looking towards the bottom side even. Bang. Looks like Cuvee actually does do damage at this point in time, especially with the Void Staff and the Leandri build. So just tearing through Bang, essentially true damage.
The thing is, he does damage, but it's not one-shot damage. It's not Annie damage. It's not Veigar damage. It's
not Kha'Zix damage.
Yeah, it's just enough to make you feel, oh, I'm scared, but then you realize, oh, you don't have anything else in your kit. You're relying on your cooldowns and people to follow up on your damage. So, sure, it chunks out Bang, but it's not going to be enough to deter him entirely. And when it comes to a team fight, he can easily get devoured by Fate's Call. He already has a Mercurial Scimitar to escape not only the CC, but run away from whatever Kennen throws at him. So for Kennen to actually sit down on anybody, lock them down, and be successful at it is highly unlikely, on top of the fact that flashes are up.
Yeah, this is a really nice composition when you're really far ahead like this, of course.
No, Valdez, you know? Kennen is not a good...
No, I'm talking about SKT.
Oh,
SKT, okay. With all their protection, is really fantastic when you are super far ahead. It's like you have so many options against this Kennen. You have that Tahm Kench to keep people alive. It's quite nice. Got a good gold difference off the back of this, about 3,000 gold, and the Mountain Drake and a pause, which is always nice.
A pause for us to revel in the moment, extend this series. Now Samsung can say they lasted a little bit longer in the ring.
We have a pause here to pay our respects for Samsung, who are our beloved Samsung.
Bathroom break.
Yeah, it looks like.
There it is, bathroom break, baby.
I mean, when you gotta go, right?
Nature's calling.
And he knows what this means. He knows that the cameras. Let's give him a high five here, a round of applause, because when everything's on the line and nature calls, nature comes first. Toilet issue. Are you serious?
Why are we calling it that?
Toilet issue. All right.
Oh,
Untara is like trying to hide a smile. Just go ahead and laugh it off, man. You're going to the next round. Ambition can't really find the humor in it all.
That's what I'm going to call it next time when I have to go to the bathroom. Sorry, I've got a toilet issue to fix.
Yeah. Bang, he's reading about one of our sponsors here.
What is happening?
It's like, oh, what is this drink all about? Oh, let me take a sip. Oh, it's not half bad. He's getting more and more interested in this the more he takes a sip of it.
Well, there's also the red one. The red one's HP. This one's MP, so he's getting the mana back. You said red was grape. What flavor is this one?
I don't know. I can't get a close enough issue. Finally, we have Crown with a smile on his face. So that's nice to see. It's not funny to watch some of our pro gamers get crushed, even if you are fans of the other side. I guess if you're a hardcore fan of SKT, it's okay, but even then, you got to understand some of these guys in the booth are really young.
He's walking back.
It's hard to deal with it. Okay, Kive's coming back. Can we get another camera shot?
Yeah, give him a
round of applause.
Did he wash his hands? Cheers for the washed hands.
Well, we can only hope, as I'm sure he wanted to come back as soon as possible, Crumbs.
That doesn't mean you should not wash your hands, Valdez.
You can only assume at this point.
You got to keep your hygiene on.
Seems the toilet issue is fixed, guys. Thankfully, thanks to Plumber Cuve, who went in there and dealt with that toilet. Who knew he was a man of so many talents? All right, it looks like we're ready to go. The countdown has started, and game number 3 will resume.
Too much mana power for him. Actually, he is on Kennen, so that's where the excess comes from. He's got to let it go.
It all makes sense. Well, there's that damage coming up. Even Wolf saying, okay, I got to gobble you up before you take too much here. And that was a pretty entertaining break that we have, so even I feel a little bit disconnected from the action. If you guys are joining us, SKT is about 8,000 gold ahead, and they did just have Baron and a super fed Bang on this Kalista. After his not so good performance against Afrika, he's trying to redeem himself, and so far he has in both Game 2 and Game 3, having really sick performances on the Kalista.
Picking against Stitch and Wraith aren't the toughest things to do, but now SKT have once again the order of push the lanes, make sure that Samsung can't get any division, prevent the flanks from Kennen, and then go for a Baron as it spawns in another minute. But the grouping from Samsung is going to be met with Gragas.
Oh, he catches Crown in the back, and a flash is not going to save him. He's all alone, and Ambition trying his best to get out of this one. Cuve joining the fight a little bit too late. Will they even get Ambition here? It's going to be close. A couple more hits will do it. Doesn't look like they will, but they get a very important wave clearer in that Crown pick, and they will push on to this inhibitor turret.
They were about to survive that push. They could have gone into the Baron side, start defending that play, but now, by attempting to defend their red buff, they're going to lose two inhibitors. So the macro play from Samsung, even worse than what it was in Game 2, finds himself at a huge deficit, and I don't think that SKT will make the same mistakes of getting caught out on the back end of this play. They don't get the middle inhibitor, but the fact that they get the bottom side one means that Cuvée now has to be stuck down there, waiting for the teleport patiently, as the Baron will inevitably be started by SKT.
It's like perfect timing, you know? You get that pick right before you can have enough time to push into that turret and then directly recall and go for Baron. Peanut, we haven't really been talking too much about his Gragas's, but he's been really on point with his casts and his engages, and we see another great one there just to allow that kill to happen.
That's a good cast out of the missed position out of Crown. Again, why does a red buff at 30 minutes matter? It doesn't. There's no right answer to that one. It's a trick question.
I thought you were telling a joke or something.
You shouldn't even be there. It's a poor play. They could have been using that time to set up around Baron, have a better grasp of vision in this area, that now SKT gets to walk away, be the first one there, clear out everything that was already in place, and they'll get this one without suffering much damage, as they can tank it so well with the Bloodthirster from Bang.
I mean, when you're ahead 12,000 gold, you might as well just go for this, because you're trying to bait your opponent into one of the most desperate plays they can go for. And Samsung smartly is just going to let that one go, as they don't have too much choice at this point in time. SKT should be almost celebrating already as they are beginning to push in onto these turrets. They've got all the dragons, they've taken all the barons, and they're looking to take all the games as they send Faker into mid and the rest of the team up into the top lane to take out these inhibitors and potentially go for the win.
They're just glutton for victory. 3 world titles is not enough.
Oh, they catch Bang, but it just doesn't.
Multiple LCK titles, not enough. They need to win it all, and Samsung stands in their way, but knocked down like a cardboard team.
Question is, can the rest of the other teams step up to SKT? As SKT, they're looking for their second 3-0 against Samsung in best of 5s in 2017. They take out that third inhibitor. The Weaver's Wall will come in, but it's just locking SKT in with Samsung as they're pushing on to these Nexus turrets, just waiting for the waves to push in. Wraith with a nice engage here, but the perfect equalizer. Kibe's going to go down, and so will Crown. Nobody on SKT is going to go down here as Baker light steals up. That's going to be 4 kills. Ambition, they're looking for the third one, or rather the 5th one. Can't even count at this point. The Rend, will it come in? Not quite, but they will stake out the Nexus, and that is game number 3. SKT with the 3-0 victory over Samsung.
This series was not even close, Valdez. Game 2 had some glimmers where we thought Samsung could do it, but they just fell apart when it truly mattered, and without being able to maintain composure in those high-octane moments, they were never going to stand a chance, and SKT took full advantage of it and dismantled them in Game 1. Game 3, does that even count? You sub 60% of the team? I argue not, but hey, SKT now puts fear in the rest of the teams in both KT and Longzhu. Are they next? Are they trembling? Is John Wick unleashed and coming back? Did they kill their puppies? Wolf and Bang do share a cub themselves.
Yeah.
So they might be upset at that.
I mean, you also have to point out that Untara and Peanut are quickly becoming the 2 players that we might see for the rest of 2017 for Samsung, or rather for SKT. These guys played super solidly. I know Faker was the big MVP in 2 of these games. He had a nice Game 3 as well. And, you know, Bang and Wolf, they were doing their great stuff. The Kalista play out of Bang was great, but Untara's playing really solid in the top lane. Peanut was playing a extremely good Gragas. Really got to hand it to him. You know, some of the plays, the casts to get onto Crown, especially in game number 2, after the engage on Faker, were so on point. And just as a team, they look really, really ready to go coming up against KT going into Saturday's games for the playoffs.
They look ready to go, but I sincerely hope that KT and Longzhu, whoever they face up against, are going to be much more prepared, because I still feel like this was not truly the test that we thought it would be. Samsung did not live up to the expectations, and they just got rolled over. So we get to hope that KT will put up a stronger fight, but every time they face off against KT, it seems like SKT always get the best of them, but at least the matches are quite close. And we're just looking at a highlight of how many times SKT found a way to best Samsung, and this is one of those moments, and I want to take a look at Stitch specifically on this battle. So he uses his rocket jump right away. A couple of seconds go by. 1, 2, 3, 4 autos. I'm pretty sure the reset must have come through on the rocket jump, but still here, where are the autos on Tristana or on Bang? The stun came through at the very end. I think questionable, but I think that was the only play you could have truly gone for to salvage that situation, as SKT came out with a Baron after that play.
Yeah, it was definitely a close one, and after that play, as you said, the Baron went down and essentially the game ended. So we're not even going to get to see the rest of it. You guys know how it happened. It was very one-sided. SKT closing it out saying, we will be the dominant team in LCK over Samsung this time around. We might lose in the regular season to you, but when it comes to playoffs, you guys are not as solid as us. And SKT showing a lot. We will be seeing an MVP interview, no doubt, with at least Faker and perhaps someone else to join him up there.
Well, when we heard Coach Carter speak about their 0-4 record against Samsung, is very vocal in saying, we don't give a damn, actually. We only focus on our present games. The past is the past. We will play our best. We are prepared. They showed that, but is anybody as prepared as SKT? We got 2 more matches to see that.
Well, guys, it looks like the MVP interview is almost ready to go. We're getting extremely close.